Yeah, I just want to say with that, like you just maybe remember at some point it kind of becomes a game of how can I use the credit cards to get rewards or get something out of
Mhm.
it, because obviously using the credit cards in a wrong way make the bank rich. Like you're paying a very high interest rate every time you use the credit card. They're getting a small percentage, especially if you don't pay in full each month. So we always try to have a credit card that gives us the biggest amount of cash back. For example, I have the American Express Cash Preferred, I think it's called.
Mhm.
And that one gives me like 6% in groceries every time. So I know that card is the one I'm going to use whenever I go to supermarket to buy food. My wife has the Discover card. I think it's probably similar to the one you have, and that one has the rotating categories where sometimes it's 5% on Amazon. So every time that's the month that the 5% is on, that's where this is the card we're using when we're going to Amazon. So trying to get, even if it's more than 0% on whatever you purchase, I think it's always a smart idea to do, just because you're getting something out of it. And believe it or not, it adds up a lot. Like I think that
Yeah.
American Express card at the end of the year, we at least get at least $20 a month just in cashback, just because they have really high percentage on like groceries and gas and everything. And over the entire year, it's $140 that I didn't have at the beginning of the year, and I can buy maybe Christmas present for us with that.
Hmm.
So just being smart, I think for us it has become like a game how we can get the most rewards from the credit cards without really being dumb and buying extra things just to get the reward. So
Exactly. Yeah. Don't go out of your way, but
right.
it's saying, okay, I'm going to buy groceries every 2 weeks, making sure I use the specific card that maxes our rewards because of the rotating category or the specific one. And then another thing of for folks that are listening that are maybe going back to the office and traveling, if there's specific ones that have a high cash back for gas. So seeing and looking into those where it's how you can be strategic about what ones you're using for specific things, and also highlighting that there's benefits to credit cards other than increasing that credit score. So there are other benefits that come along with it.
Yeah, and I mentioned I use Personal Capital, and that's been a great app. We don't usually use it for budgeting. I don't think it has like a budgeting feature. You cannot really set like a budget amount, but you can at least keep track of what you're spending money on, and that's been great. In the past, I've used Mint, which is and also
Mhm.
another great app. Where again, a lot of similar features, but I really liked how Personal Capital has a little more on the investment side. I can see like the money that I've invested on, how it's performing, all that stuff. I like how Personal Capital does it better than Mint does. Um, we won't get into investment because that's going to be a very long
That's
conversation.
yes.
But we actually
It
use
can be its own episode. I
right.
feel like investments. But the other thing of also, I don't think Mint has it as well, but I think personal. I know Personal Capital has it. You can also manually add things. So like
Mm-hmm.
my company has an ESOP or employee stock ownership plan, so I have to manually put that in. So I can still add manual things to really be able to really see my net worth a little bit more accurately, even though it doesn't link to something nicely to be able to update. So I still have to manually update it, but it's still nice to be able to see, again, all of those things in a nice snapshot in one app.
Yeah, and I guess for the people that don't really know what these two apps are, is basically you input and log in with all your accounts, checkings, credit cards, car loans, home loans, and you put everything in one place, and that will give you a pretty good overview of if you have a positive net worth or a negative net worth. And I log in more to Personal Capital than I do to my other accounts, just because I can see everything. I can see all the
Mm-hmm.
transactions. I can see everything from Personal Capital. So that's been amazing. We actually do all our budgeting on a Google Sheet that I put together maybe 2-3 years ago, and it's been evolving over the years. I've been meaning to like put like a template online and share it, because I'm proud of it. It took a lot of time, and it works so great for us, and it's so customizable that we can see whatever we want to see, how much we spend in a certain week, or project how much money we'll have in the future if we save a certain rate and stuff like that. So maybe at some point I'll put it working and create a template for that. But I'm curious, do you use like a spreadsheet to budget, or do you just follow your Personal Capital and kind of make sure your spending is under a certain amount?
So I do use a spreadsheet. I'm 99% sure it is not as robust as what you have. I keep it very, very basic and only check it, I think now. I think I do it every 3 months. I used to be in the very monthly of it, especially when I first got out of school, kind of checking with that. But yeah, I primarily use personal capital for the day to day to just check, and then I hope it never happens, but kind of checking those transactions to see if something fraudulent happens. It's nice to be able to check there and be like, hey, something for $600 just showed up on here. I don't know what that is. So it's being able to see things like that, which is, sorry, a little bit of a tangent, but a nice thing about credit cards is being able to, um, and fight is not the word for it, but being able to mark those things where it's a lot easier to. Yes, protection. Thank you. There's protections of those parts of it, as opposed to if you were using your debit card. Like people say, don't use your debit card online because of things like that. Because unfortunately, cybersecurity and such like that, we have to be careful that you don't want your identity being stolen. So it's really nice to make sure that you double check that things like that don't happen. But yeah, long story short, I do use a budget generally speaking, but I don't tweak it as much as I used to. I used to do that zero-based budget and kind of go into that, but right now I've been a little bit more lax. I don't know if that's been possibly mirrored because of right now and the work from home that I don't know about you, but I haven't spent generally as much. So it hasn't been as part of that. So, but yeah, budgeting is definitely important to see how much you're spending, to see if you're spending an exorbitant amount on takeout and needing to change those things to live within your means.
Yeah, we have definitely not spent as much money as we were before. And I mentioned this on Nikolai's episode, but we, like, when we moved to Colorado, we had a baby and then we had a second baby, and we were not really in a position of spending that much money. I think we're just not spending wisely. I think that's the correct term. And I think we had at some point about like 15,000 in credit card debt, which was a lot of money. But within the past year, we kind of became more intentional, became more conscious of what was really meaningful for us, what we really want to spend money on, and we paid all of that off. And I think right now we have a saving of like $20,000 or $30,000 in the bank, just because we really just became intentional and I had like a goal of just getting rid of that credit card debt, because it was a burden. Like every time you open the statement and you see that you have all that amount of credit card debt, it's painful. So if anything people take out of this episode, just protect your credit score. It's valuable if you want to save money down the road with interest and everything, and be intentional with how you spend your money, and make sure you have your money goals aligned with your actions.